All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going to get started.
Welcome back.
Please take your seats. We will have time for continued discussion later. I know that there's a lot of great discussions going on, a lot of great connections to be made. I promise this panel will wow you, and not because of me, but because of these fine ladies up here. Lots to teach you, and not a lot of time.
Right there with Rumella. We're not doing that again.
All right, as everyone's taking their seats, I know that many of you were pitching and talking about your businesses. I think just as a way to get started, could you give us each kind of your elevator pitch? Tell us what it is that you do and how it impacts the community.
Hi, my name is Ahlia Kitwana. I am the CEO and founder of Paradiso. We are launching a software platform that helps Black and Latinx people find their strengths and superpowers, align those skills with career paths, and connect them to middle skill jobs.
Really? Why do you put me next to her? Hi again. My name is Rumella Cameron. I am the founder and CEO of Conversance Business Solutions. We're a full-service administrative support and consultancy firm providing an array of virtual assistant services. Your turn.
Tina Paradiso, Imprintable Solutions. We're a service that's of service to our community, working with young, at-risk, disconnected opportunity young people.
Thank you, ladies. So, for those that don't know me, my name's Andrew Brady. I run a leadership development company called the Accelerate Team, but also know many of you through an organization in town called Capitalism. And I believe that's why I was asked to help moderate this panel, because it's all about how we can create mutually beneficial relationships with our community and with the companies that we're a part of. So Conscious Capitalism is based on a more purpose-driven way of doing business, as well as focusing on how do we balance the needs of all stakeholders, whether that's the companies, the communities that they're a part of, in addition to the employees, even the environment for those companies that have an impact on the environment. So one of the things that I'm curious about from each one of you all have purpose-driven, conscious capitalism types of businesses. I'd be curious if that kind of community impact was something that you were interested in from the start, or if it's something that evolved over time as your business grew.
For this business in particular, it was from the start. So I recognize I was teaching at MCC in March of 2020 when everything shifted online, and many of my students were what we called essential workers back then. And for the most part, they were scared. They kept having to go out day in and day out to be janitors and cashiers and just do what they needed to do to pay the bills. But I saw and knew that they could be doing other things if they wanted to, if they knew how to connect to other jobs and opportunities. And so that's what sparked the idea for me.
Really? Can't deal with her today. All right, so for me, my way of giving back to the community, we work with local colleges in the area, and we actually intern students from the business administration and digital marketing, things like that. And our goal is to try to push for entrepreneurship. That's one of the things that I've done, is just trying to teach people entrepreneurship, how to build a business and get started, and then also how to manage it going forward. Another thing that we do that a lot of people might not think about, I am very big on giving back, and we partner with homeless shelters and other organizations out there to do like holiday food drives and things like that. So we try to make sure that every decision we make is we're able to give back in some way. So, your turn.
So when I originally bought the company, the company has always been of service, whether it was to my family to help me take care of my family, and then it grew into those with different abilities, and then it grew into working with the young people. And one of my passions is young people because I was them and they are me.
So Tina, since you have the mic and you've been going last, I'm gonna direct this next one right at you. So I know that there was recently a startup grind pitch battle, around social entrepreneurship type of pitches. I'd be curious, as you're pitching your business in general, we heard kind of your quick elevator pitch, but do you lead with that social impact, or how do you kind of try to weave that into the story of what your company is versus the purpose in the community aspect?
I always lead with who we are and how we do it, because I think it's important to know who you're doing business with. They often say people do business with those that they like, but more importantly, if you have the opportunity to do business with other businesses that are having impact, I think that's where you should be spending your dollar. So I'm going to lead personally with our story and how we do what we do.
Yeah, and I think that when you're talking about those types of partnerships, certainly I know from experience of working with you that part of all of what conscious capitalism is all about is that yes, these purpose-driven businesses, are giving back to the community, doing great things, but they're also it's also impacting their bottom line in a positive way. So can you talk a little bit about how your purpose and your profits have been not mutually exclusive, but actually supportive of each other?
Sure, absolutely. So when we had started working with young people in particular, over the last few years, our manufacturing has actually increased and doubled. Along with that, having our young people be empowered to arrange their workspace, arrange the equipment, and arrange their schedules, and this is all driven by our young people, our throughput actually went up over 20%. And that's quite extraordinary in any type of manufacturing if you come from manufacturing. So when I believe when you empower people and you give them knowledge and they get to use it, how they feel they can use it, it benefits the company at all. Now, one of the interesting things is we take all of those profits from our manufacturing that we continue to grow on, and that comes back into our program. So I went from actually hiring 3 young people off an internship into full-time positions, and we're now up to 10. And that does ebb and flow because we are supposed to be a stepping stone, not their next step. So they come to us and they're learning different life skill sets, and I don't, as much as I love them, as much as I want them to come back around, I don't want this to be their forever place. I want it to be a stepping stone. And they'll do peer-to-peer training, and that continues, and our efficiencies continue to go up, and it's quite amazing, and it's very organic. It's really cool to watch.
Nice. So, Rumella, you were talking about some of the partnerships that you are, a part of, some of the ways that you try to give back to the community. When you are kind of selecting what those organizations are, how do you try to pick the kind of values-aligned organizations and who you're going to work with in those conversations?
Sorry, good turn around. All right, so when I'm picking the different organizations that I'm working with, it's usually I try to look at it at a local level and try to stay away from those big brands or franchises because they already have the awareness. The smaller organizations don't. So that's my way of trying to work with them and get the word out and work with other companies as well to get involved in the food drives or whatever thing that we're doing.
Yeah, and so when you're working with clients, is that something that you're thinking of as well as how to select those or work more with those that are values aligned with you, or how do those conversations develop?
Well, I'm very, very picky of who I work with. I don't work with anybody just because if I don't believe in your service or product that you're selling, I'm not going to try to sell it because why would I sit here and BS anyone else? So when I'm working with my clients, I'm looking at it as collaborating with them and also trying to get them involved in trying to give back as well.
Nice. Yeah, pass it on down to Ahlia. I was actually having a conversation right before we got started, recognizing that it was almost 2 years ago since I saw you last, and you were also giving a pitch, but for a different company that you're a part of. So I'd be curious to hear from you, kind of similar to the question to Tina, what ways, when you're trying to pitch and you're trying to talk about the work that you do, how do you try to weave in that story? You know, is it more leading with the company and the purpose is a side product or side benefit, or how do you try to share your story in a way that can connect with people, given those kind of elevator pitches or sales conversations?
I don't even know how to answer. I guess I lead with the purpose. The purpose is the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing, and like Rumella just said, like, I'm not gonna mess with or deal with people who are not in alignment with what I'm trying to do and the product, the results that I'm looking for in the community. So if there is a mismatch, then, you know, we say there's a mismatch, we can't do business, and you keep it moving. There are definitely plenty of people and businesses to do business with. So.
And have you found that purpose and that community impact is something that's driving growth for you? Again, trying to, I think more and more people these days are trying to spend in ways that align with their values, partner with people in ways that are aligned with their values. There's even impact investors trying to, align their investments with their values. Are you finding that people are attracted to that and that it's part of your growth?
Yes, and so I've found that in my experience, there are companies who give lip service to wanting to be like more diverse or more impactful in the community, and they have this and that on their website, but when you go and walk into their actual business space, you can, well, I'm a Black woman, and I can say that some businesses don't feel as welcoming. You can sense that in their culture. I can't, what was the original question?
Just how is having that purpose, is that helping to drive your growth? Are you finding people attracted to that message and working with you because of your purpose and your community impact?
Yes, so I'm attracting the people who I want to work with, basically.
Yeah, and I think that you're kind of mentioning as well, in the green sustainability movement, that there's greenwashing. Sometimes now you'll see kind of like purpose washing as well. Are there any tips that you have for maybe people in the audience of how to know when an organization is really being authentic with that purpose that they're espousing?
You want to talk to the employees. Like, you can definitely hit up Glassdoor. There are honest reviews on Glassdoor. I mean, and or just like look through LinkedIn, connect with people who actually work at the company, and find out what their experiences are. The better connection is people who have worked there previously, though, because they'll be more candid. So yeah, just do a little bit of research and or just show up, and you can sense it in about an hour, like who's being authentic and who is not.
Tina, Rumella, do either of you have any advice on trying to find those authentically purpose-driven companies when you're partnering?
I think that a lot of it comes organically. You have intuition, you have lived experience, you have life experience, and to your point, you can walk into a space and be like, not so much, right? I had somebody from the chamber come in and do a tour, and his question was, he's like, okay, you say you do all of these things. He literally went and opened the cupboards in my kitchen to make sure that there was food, because I said I was putting food there. Was there food there? He literally went into, we have a full bathroom, to make sure that those things were there. He wanted to make sure that I was doing what it is I say I'm doing, period. And I think you can, through intuition, life experiences, and education, understand whether it's lip service or whether it's authentic.
And I can agree, she actually does stock her kitchen, because I've been there a few times and ate.
So I'm a firm believer, and Tina was mentioning earlier how her profits and her companies has grown since adopting more of a purpose-driven approach. I'm curious from any of you, I'm a firm believer that in the long run, the purpose and the profits are supportive of each other, but sometimes there are difficult decisions that you have to make in the short run where it may be difficult on your profits or on the bottom line. but you do feel like it's purpose-driven. You do feel like in the long run, both for your company but also for your integrity, that it's the right decision. Do any of you have stories that you can share around times where you did have some of that maybe clashing between purpose and profits, and in the short term anyways, that you had to do for the long-term purpose of the company? No? All right. Well then, given that we've got some social entrepreneurs or maybe aspiring social entrepreneurs in the audience, maybe they have companies that aren't especially purpose-driven, but they want to integrate more social impact into their organizations, or maybe they're dreaming about a company and thinking about how they can give back. What kind of advice would you have for those in the audience that are maybe a few steps behind you all on this social entrepreneurship type of journey?
I would, do some introspection work, because that's my thing. But just get aligned with what is important to you, and get real about that, and go in that direction. Bake it in to the enterprise from the beginning. Those values, that ethos, and move forward from there is what I would advise.
I actually want to speak on that real quick. When it comes to working with my clients and things like that, I'm also looking at my team members. That's also important. I want to make sure that my team members also believe in my mission, my purpose, and the values that we portray in business as well. Because if it's not a good fit, then you won't fit in the culture. So that's another thing that a lot of business owners should look at, is not just focusing 100% on the clients that you're looking to attract, also trying to align those things with your employees as well.
Just before you hand off the mic, any advice along those lines for people, again, to find people who are truly aligned with the purpose? What kinds of things have you done to kind of screen out and who's the right employee and who's not for you?
Well, I can tell that within the first 5 or 10 minutes. Just trying to get an idea of what their goals are. Also asking, just trying to probe and just get an idea of where they are, and also looking at their social media. We can say a lot of things, but how are you portraying yourself in the public eye? And I think a lot of employers miss that as well. I will stalk your social media to make sure that you're not embarrassing me in any way, shape, or form. So.
So I think it all starts with leadership and those at the top, and you have to do work on yourself first. And if the leader isn't 100% in, then your team isn't going to be 100% in, period. And if you want to do this type of work, you do have to do your research. You do have to dive into things that you may not understand that you do need to know. You don't know what you don't know till you ask somebody. And find a company or companies that have a similar mission, vision, value, and purpose, and shadow with them, work with them, learn about them, ask the question. I'm a big ask the question type of person. So ask the question and go do your research before you do it. Because if you dive in and you're not informed and you're not educated, like in my company as a leader, I must be trauma informed because of my team. And if I'm not, I'm stepping into something bad for them and for me.
So as we are getting close to time and wrapping up, I'm curious. Again, I'm a big believer that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and the people that you surround yourself are really important. And sometimes if you, as a business leader, are in the typical business environment and surrounded by typical business people, it might be hard to hang on to your purpose because so many people are purely profit driven. So I'm curious from you all if there's organizations that you're a part of, resources that you'd recommend, community type of programs or trainings that you've been through that have encouraged you in this either entrepreneurial direction in general or social entrepreneurship specifically.
So I'm a big, huge fan of community. I think the entrepreneurial life can be super lonely and isolating if you allow it to be. So, I'm a member of NextCore, so I have roots there. Online, there are masterminds that I'm a part of, so we should all be millionaires. They're purpose-driven and for making money as well. And I do individual trainings here and there, and just try to keep my networks tight and fresh, and keep meeting people and keep reaching out.
Take the floor.
Thank you, Rumella. To your point, I think being an entrepreneur, we can feel like we are on an island, and sometimes we are. Professional organizations, this is going to sound really bad. I immerse myself in the community versus joining a professional organization. I have huge trust issues. And I would rather immerse myself in the community and surround myself with the organizations and the people and our neighborhood and those sorts of things. So that's what tends to uplift me. That's where ideas come from, because everything that we do within our company is not led by the leader. It's driven by the team.
I try to engage in the different like webinars. A lot of events that's been taking place has been online. So I've done a few webinars with RBJ. One thing as an entrepreneur, I would say, I am a part of TAB. It's called the Alternative Board. It's pretty much a makeup of maybe, I think, anywhere from 6 to 10 different business owners from all levels, making anywhere from 100K and up, like crazy. And we're at a round table, and we're able to share the challenges that we're facing as an entrepreneur and business owner, and then literally strategically discussing what our next steps should be to try to overcome those challenges. So for me, I try to get into smaller groups like that to help me out, because as an entrepreneur, it is definitely lonely. You have no one else to go to. I mean, it's you at the top. So trying to connect with other like-minded individuals to help me through problems that maybe they've already gone through. Just try to stay connected, especially in this age where everyone's distancing themselves from everyone. So.
All right, so final question for you. In addition to kind of telling people where they can find out more about you, I would love to hear from each one of you what you're dreaming about. Like 5-10 years down the road, what does your organization look like? How has it grown? But also, how has the purpose and the community impact grown? And potentially, what kind of help could you use in getting there that maybe somebody in the audience might be able to reach out to you for?
Yeah, some great questions. Well, it's funny because I believe in manifestation, manifesting your life. For me, I see Conversance in the next 10, 15, 20 years being the top virtual assistant firm in the world. And, our focus is working with entrepreneurs and startup companies and businesses that are looking to grow, expand, and elevate. I see us doing that, and also having satellite offices around the country, and having a team of maybe 10 to 500 individuals, just saying. Oh, and for help, I don't know. I really don't know what that would be. But any advice is welcome.
Well, how about a pitch? What kinds of clients are you looking for? That maybe somebody in the audience or somebody
that's a great question too. So the clients that we're looking, I am too much. I can hear. I love you too. So the type of clients that I'm looking to work with right now, I do work with startups, but it seems like they don't necessarily have the funding to get started. So I usually try to refer them to the free services that's out there. But the clients that I'm looking for is at a point where they're making 100K or more a year. They have no more than 10 employees, and they're just at the point where they're feeling either stagnant, they're stuck, or just overwhelmed. Or you can be a business owner that you need an administrative assistant or someone help you, and you don't have the money to pay their salary. We offer those services at a fraction of a cost, and we're very flexible. So.
All right. So if that's you or somebody you know where to come contact Rumella after the panel.
Here's the logo.
I got that look. So in the next 3 to 5 years, what I would like to do is replicate and duplicate what we have nationally. One of the things that has become heightened for us is the need to have young people relocated if they're in imminent mortal danger. We've seen it now in our city more than ever. I actually started a nonprofit which does literally rapid relocation. The original idea was to have shops throughout the United States that were my shop, my people, my young, when I say my, they're my kids. I don't care what anybody, they're my kids. But they've expressed interest in moving to other cities and taking on young people like themselves to teach them and show them and keep them connected to services and keep them moving on to their next steps. So my goal before COVID was to have 3 more shops in the United States, East Coast, Mid, and West Coast. So I already have the sites picked out. Just saying. But we need to get there. So that's a big goal of mine. In 10 years, I have 2 young people that have stepped up and said, geez, Tina, we would like to be your legacy. And I am more than happy to help put them in that legacy.
And anything that the audience, people might do to help, connections they could help make, or?
You know, I'm a big believer in earning what it is that we have. So if you have connections to large organizations that do printing, have a lot of employees, like to have t-shirts, sell their swag, have a retail outlet that they'd like to put online or have online, we would love to produce their products for them.
Great.
So where do I want to be? My big.
Where do you want to be, and how can we help you get there?
Yeah, I would love for my company to be valued at 10 million in a year. What I am looking for right now, I would love to be connected with some green tech firms where I can place the young people who are looking for jobs in the next couple of months. So the more green tech firms that are within the city that they can access would be ideal. So that's the connection I need.
In any ways that you see possibly your purpose growing or evolving along with the growth of your business?
So like the big vision and impact that I want to make. So I want to put these Black and Latinx people who are not going after 4-year degrees into high value jobs. And in doing that, the impact will propagate, right? So it'll lift up the household medium income and propagate out throughout the community. So my the intention is to uplift the entire community. So not just placing one person in a job, but also uplifting their household and have that propagate outwards.
Well, can we get a round of applause for these 3 ladies? Thank you all so much for your time, for sharing your insights, hopefully inspiring some future social entrepreneurs in the audience, but more importantly, for all the work that each of you are doing each and every day in our community. It's really purpose-driven work. It's really having an impact. It really matters, and we're really lucky to have you.
Thank you. One more thing. So talking about manifestation, every January we host a vision board party. And that will be a great opportunity for you to manifest your upcoming year, figure out what your goals are, and actually create an action plan to get you there. So I just wanted to share. Thank you.
Cool.
Conversance.biz.
Where can we find you?
Oh, it's easy. Just find me on LinkedIn. I'm the only one who spells Ahlia, Ahlia. I think I might be the only one, but only one in Rochester. Yeah. So thank you.
We can get up. Good morning.
Okay, thanks everyone.